The Ouroboros forms combine two party members to form a pretty powerful fusion. Now, the only Ouroboros forms we see that are actually formed, we see there are other ones that are going to be present throughout the story, but the main one that we see that actually transforms is the ones from the party, which require one member from the nation of Agnes and one member from the nation of Kiev. Now, it is unclear because the game hasn't come out yet, but it is unclear that if two people from the same nation can form an Ouroboros form. But I think it's an interesting detail to note that we're being presented that only one member from Agnes and one member from Kiev can come together to form this really powerful fusion. And so, that being said, having a fusion between the two nations that are supposed to be sworn enemies fighting against each other, because that is all they are taught from birth. We know that the war is perpetuated and they're taught that they are only supposed to fight, and that is the purpose of their life, to fight against these other people that are supposed to be their enemy, right? But with Ouroboros forms, it creates unity between both nations that have raised generations of people to fight and kill, and that has been the only significance of their lives. Not forming relationships or bonds. Like, the world is completely devoid of that, right? The only thing they're supposed to do is fight, right? Fusions, having two people being able to come together from different nations, would prove that it's possible, that you wouldn't need to continually perpetuate a war, and that different people from both nations could come together and fuse, and that would be the key to stopping the war, is unity, coming together. Both Xenoblade 1 and 2 see aspects of unity creating the solution. In Xenoblade 1, it was getting all the people of the Bionis, including the Hyantia, who have been avoiding the war, right? Getting them all to come together to fight the Mechanists. But then as the story progressed, it even became against everybody, including the Machina versus Zanza. All of their wills combining, right? And that's seemingly what Ouroboros does as well. In Xenoblade 2, you see the unity of the party, having people from different areas of you have Morag representing Morardane, you have Zeke from Tantal, Tora being a Nopon, and then ultimately you see the nations getting ready to go to war. However, they eventually start coming together, but regardless, I think that the unity is going to be what is going to end the war. And it's interesting to note that both nations are against this unity. Melia says Ouroboros must be eliminated at all costs, and Ania says something along the same thing in the trailer, meaning that both nations would rather continually perpetuate a war than come together, because Ouroboros proves that the people can come together from different nations and form unity. But the queens of both nations are fighting against the main party, and say specifically the main party, Ouroboros, has to be eliminated. I think that's interesting. Ouroboros is also a sign for infinity. We've seen the infinity sign pop up a couple times, and I think that maybe that could be representing how, the unification of people is how you have a peaceful future, because if people are together, people wouldn't be fighting in senseless wars. That would be key to Eternal. Or, unless this Ouroboros is supposed to represent the big bad, eternal energy for the big bad or something, I don't know. But regardless, I think it is important to note that Ouroboros is obviously going to have an important tie into the story, but it is clearly a solution to the war, because it's two sides fighting against each other. They need to come together, right? And another thing to note is that a significant power increase is present. Like, it is clear that the Ouroboros, the way it's presented, there was a massive power increase when this happens. And so My question is, where does this power come from? Is there a specific higher power that is allowing this to happen? Are there people controlling Ouroboros or something like that? Or is this a completely new being formed when you go into this transformation? You know, the only time we see something like this is when Pyra and Mithra form Numa, but I mean, that's very situational, and I wouldn't really compare this to that, because these are two completely different people coming together. Pyra and Mithra are pretty much the same person. However, Ouroboros are two but distinctly different people. And this is literally two people from different nations. And you know, that also makes me think that maybe Rex and Shulk, at some point, we could see them have an Ouroboros form, right? I think that'd be dope, having the Monado replica in one hand and the Aegis sword in another hand. Or would it be Shulk and Pyra having that combined form, if you think about it? Because Rex doesn't own the weapon, you know. Pyra is the one who forms the weapon. So maybe, I don't know, do Pyra and Rex fuse, and then that fusion fuses with Shulk? No, I'm sorry. That's getting off track. But regardless, I think that going forward, it is important to, as you play this game, look for significance in the Ouroboros and in Unity. And I also think it's interesting because you would see blades and humans like physically combining, because you see Noah and Mio coming together to create an Ouroboros form, right? And the closest thing we saw to that was in Xenoblade 2, when someone would just bond with a blade, and people said in Xenoblade 2 there was a huge emphasis on a human bonding with their blade, right? And now we're seeing that bonding with the blade going to a whole nother level in this game, where blades and humans are literally becoming one person, right? And so I think that, you know, there's not a whole lot of information we have on Ouroboros, but the information we have right now points to a possible solution, that the key to the future would have to be Ouroboros. You know, maybe the Ouroboros, you know, the sign is a snake eating itself in an infinity symbol, you know. So what if that means, like, I don't know, that the power is infinite, you know? There's not a whole lot of information we got on these Ouroboros forms, but we shall see as the games come out. Again, the games people have gotten the games early. I know that the leaked file for the game is out, so people who have modded Nintendo Switches are already playing this game. So I do advise you to continue to be careful. We got 5 days left. 5 whole days. 5 whole days left. We got today, and then the 4 days in the week, and then Friday rolls around. So, you know, I'm gonna keep these Xenoblade videos coming. We're gonna have some pretty cool videos coming out. I'll give y'all a hint. The next video is gonna be Xenoblade 2 focused. So it's gonna be a follow-up to a previous video I've done over a year ago. So it's gonna be a Xenoblade 2 video. So look out for that. And I can't wait for this game to come out. Like, I am so hyped. I literally cannot wait. The hype is building. And, you know, I'll mention this right now, quick thing. The Heroes system, which is replacing the Blade system, I think that is easily, you could have old characters come back for that as non-canon DLC. Be like, here's Dunban's sword, you can use it, and then boom. I think it's the perfect system to implement older characters into newer games. It seems like cool, but without any further ado, spoiler-free Xenoblade content. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see y'all in the